We have a double arch long forecase that we're going to plan. I'd like to start by marking my reduction. So we'll select the measurement tool, and we're looking for 14 millimeters of reduction in this case. So put a couple markers on here just to keep track of that as we plan the case. And same thing on the lower arch. Alright, now that we have those for reference, we start selecting and planning implants. So we angle implants to avoid structures. First thing I like to do is go back and see if we can get an implant in the first molar area, a straight implant. So looking at here, this one's kind of borderline. If we did a 5x8 with just a little bump, we certainly could put an implant there. We'll look at some other sites and decide if we want to do that or not. So next up would be generally if I'm angling implants or traditional LM4, I want at least a 4.3x13. That's what we have as the default here. Go ahead and try it in this space, and then as we slide through this slice, you can see we have the sinus there. This is one where it probably does make sense to angle to avoid that sinus, get up in good bone above where our reduction is. And as we look at that, as we come further back, we don't need as much reduction, but it does influence. We do want a little bit of plasty on the bone here as well, so to get this one in is going to be more of a sinus lift. So then we look back at second molar site. Once that tooth's out, there's not going to be much bone there, it doesn't look like. Probably about there. So we may decide just to go the angled one is the most distal option here, but we can click through it and look at different options as we continue to plan. Let's center that up. So now let's go to the anterior maxilla, and to be below our planned reduction of the ridge, need to be about this deep. So clearly as I place that 4.3x13, we're going to be up into the nasal floor. So we have a couple of options here. One is to shorten our implant, move down to a 4.3x10, see what we get there. And that does it. Say that wasn't enough, or we wanted to put a longer implant in there, the other thing I could do is plan it as an M technique, angle that back toward the other implant that we just placed. See the two side by side here. So we could angle that back. In this case, that doesn't afford us a ton of advantage on length because of the position of our last implant. So here I'd probably be more apt just to leave it as a 4.3x10. Two of those right next to each other in the front should be plenty. So we'll go ahead and leave that how we had it. We'll add another one here between the other central and lateral. And similar situation, we're going to shorten that to a 10 millimeter. We'll put that in position. Now as far as our positioning here, we on the coronal end are positioning kind of at the palatal third. So we're not clear out here on the buccal because that's where we sometimes will see resorption. So with that planned, now we'll move back into the upper left area. We have a canine here with a lot of bone above it. So here I probably will do a 4.3x13 and really take advantage of the nice bone we've got above that canine. And it looks like we should be able to go and plan another implant distal. Yeah, we got pretty good bone here. So I'll plan this as a 4.3 by, that's a 10. Yeah, so about a 4.3 by 10, because once we do, again, a little bit of reduction and bump, we're going to be into that area. So again, this will be a little bit of a crestal lift with osteodensification. And we can check back where we're extracting the molar, but the bone is no better there. So I'd be more apt to put it right in front of that molar. And looking at that, we've got a pretty decent spread. Now, could we do a traditional all-on-4 here and just angle both sides? Absolutely. This is a relatively younger patient. She's in her 50s. So I would like to give more options long-term. If she does lose one of these implants or has issues, it would be nice to have 6 in the arch. So that'll be the idea there. Let's go ahead and move to the lower arch now. Similarly, we'll see what we've got back in the molar area. And on the lower arch here, we're fortunate, even with reduction, we've still got plenty of space above the mental, or in the IA nerve here. So let's plan that as a 4.3. And that's a 4.3 by 10 that we have planned there. That leaves us about the 2 millimeters of buffer above the nerve. So that looks good. Just place that right in the furca of the bone after we extract that tooth. Of course, if we lose bone, then we can always adapt mid-surgery. That's the nice thing about doing a freehand surgery. And then let's look up here. We've got enough AP spread with that molar back there that we don't need to angle this implant, but we could put a little angle on it just to get a little further away from the nerve. And that looks pretty good right there. We've got enough for a good reduction, plenty of bone there. Let's move into the anterior segment. Alright, as I place this implant, we're looking a little thin on the bone. I have to see when that tooth comes out if the buccal plate stays intact and we can graft that, then I'm probably comfortable putting a 4.3 diameter implant here. But I will be prepared with a smaller diameter, 3.5, just in case, so we can stay well within the bone there. With 3.5 by 13 and 6 implants on the lower arch, I'm still plenty comfortable with the amount of support we'll have. So again, here's a 4.3 by 13, and we've got fairly good bone here, so we'll probably get away with that. Again, if we do blow out the bone when we're extracting teeth, we can always go with a narrower diameter there. Alright, looks like a similar picture on this side as far as we need a little bit of reduction. Again, I think we can get away with a straight implant or put a little bit of angle on there, maybe 17 degree. And that leaves room for our required prosthetic reduction as well. That leaves us looking back in the molar site here to see if we can pick up a little bit more AP spread. And again, it looks like we can. We've got plenty of bone above the mental foramen. And it looks like about a 4.3 by 10 with just a little bit of reduction in that area as well. And we'll end up in pretty good shape when we look inter-arch between our implants. We got 24-25 millimeters of space. That's plenty of prosthetic space for predictable temporaries, and of course final zirconia. We should have no issue. So now that we've got that planned, we'll just pull it into the 3D rendering and make sure we kind of like looking at the overall picture. It looks like a pretty solid plan to me. We've got good AP spread, plenty of titanium, where if we do have an issue with one of these implants, we should still be forward compatible to go to something that's going to work for the patient.